The Entertainment Industries Council proudly presents the inaugural Science, Engineering, and Technology Awards, honoring exceptional forms of entertainment that accurately portray, promote, educate, and spark interest in these fields. There are some truly remarkable people who have taken the initiative to encourage the studies of science, engineering, and technology in many different ways. One of the most renowned joins us today, the inaugural SET Awards Icon winner and co-creator of some of the most recognizable comic book scientists, engineers, and technologists in history. Stan Lee shares his vision for the future and how you can create the next icon. Now here's your host from the Entertainment Industries Council, Skylar Zwick.
Without question, our guest today, Stan Lee, has exerted more influence over the comic book industry than anyone else in history. He created or co-created 90% of Marvel Comics' most recognized characters, including the greatest scientists and engineers ever to entertain. Such a young scientist prodigy, we all know Peter Parker, better known as Spider-Man, nuclear physicist Bruce Banner, of course, the Incredible Hulk, and engineer, physicist, entrepreneur, and all-around great character Tony Stark, who's, of course, best known as Iron Man, among many, many others. Stan's career at Marvel Comics spanned 6 decades. In 2002, he formed his own company, POW Entertainment, where he continues to create and license intellectual property for the entertainment industry. In addition, Stan has been a friend and an advocate for the Entertainment Industries Council since 1995. And we are pleased to be honoring him with the inaugural Icon Award at the 2011 SET Awards. Stan, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation today.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here with you. But you left out one of our scientists, Reed Richards, who modestly refers to himself as Mr. Fantastic in the Fantastic Four. He happens to be the world's greatest scientist.
And one of my personal favorites growing up, too. You're right. Another great one. How do you do it, Stan? You create the most memorable comic book characters. What's the creative process? How do we actually make all this happen?
Gee, I wish I could explain it. I wish I knew myself. I worked for a publisher, and I wanted to keep my job. And every so often the publisher would say, Stan, I need a new title. I want to put out a new book. Dream something up for me. So, spurred by a desire to continue working, I would sit down and try to think up a new character. Luckily, some of them caught on. But you know, how I did it, I have absolutely no idea. I try to sit and think, what hasn't been done yet? Oh, okay, I'll do that.
And how do you integrate science, engineering, and technology? I mean, obviously you have to have some level of knowledge and an interest in these fields. How do you craft them so beautifully into this work where it's actually entertaining and educational and exciting all at the same time?
Well, I think the most important thing is logic. If a person is very good at it, if somebody is going to create and invent things, I have to make sure that I establish that character as being a scientist or a chemist or something, so it is believable that he can invent the things he does. And since so many of our stories depend on characters having the ability to do wondrous things, in order to make that somewhat believable, I have to establish that these are great scientists, great chemists, great mechanics, whatever it is, because those subjects are so important. Without a basic scientific knowledge or technical knowledge, you can't create, you can't build anything at all.
You know, most people view scientists, engineers, technologists as people stuck in windowless rooms writing computer programs or only people who are good at math. What do you tell people that they may not realize about the power of these fields in everyday life?
Well, the first thing you need, even if you're just a scientist and people think of you as sitting with a computer or looking through a microscope and spending all your time at a desk working on little logarithms. The thing that you have to understand is the first thing that a good scientist needs is a great imagination, which is the same thing that a writer or a musician or any entertainer needs. Without that imagination, the scientist wouldn't know what to do with all the scientific knowledge. So being a scientist is a very colorful thing, a very imaginative thing, and a very creative thing.
And as a member of this prolific entertainment industry, do you think that science portrayed in comic books could be used as fuel for more students to interest them and help create that passion in science, engineering, and technology careers?
Well, I certainly hope so, because we need scientists more than ever before, because everything today is based on the knowledge of science, of electronics, of how things work and how to make them work better. And it's only by having mechanical and scientific and chemical knowledge that we can accomplish those things. So I think it is so important that scientists be depicted in a very heroic way and not depicted as somebody who just sits in a little room poring over figures in a very unromantic way. Scientists, in a sense, are the most romantic people you can find, because they're the ones who are creating new worlds for us.
And I think the way that you have captured that in the last 6 decades, Stan, is why you are an icon in science, engineering, and technology. And I'm so pleased that we're able to present you with this award in November. In our final few seconds, if you had one thing you could say, Stan, to every student, every parent about getting involved in science, engineering, technology, what would you tell them?
I would say don't waste a minute. The more adept you are at science and technology, the more qualified you'll be to succeed in the world. It's the foundation for everything. So go to it and learn what you can. And by the way, thanks a million for this award. It means a lot to me, and I'm very grateful.
Absolutely, and we are looking forward to that and the SET Awards, the inaugural event, November 17th. Stan Lee, thank you so much for being a part of this and for all that you do for our industry and for the next generation.
Thank you for joining us for this SET Awards podcast, part of EIC's ongoing efforts to encourage young people toward the fields of science, engineering, and technology careers. Furthering these efforts, the SET Awards Challenge has been issued. Log on to eiconline.org and submit your video entry for either a fiction or nonfiction production that depicts the power, creativity, and everyday influence of science, engineering, or technology. You could win a trip to the 2012 SET Awards in Los Angeles, a professional mentoring session, or an opportunity to pitch your idea to a Hollywood team. Learn all about it at eiconline.org.